talking about.
You can feel it, you can hear it, and you can see it.
God, yes, sir. What you just heard there, ladies and gentlemen, was the F-15 demo team cruising by us as we are talking winter with Swinner.
Yeah.
That's the way to do an intro.
Yeah.
Oh, here comes another pass. Oh, get ready.
Man.
Holy smokes. Yep. Oh, yeah. Man, all right. Here we are on location again. The Spirit of St. Louis Airport in Chesterfield, Missouri. You know what? That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty badass.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's the F-15 Strike Eagle demo team, I believe is what that is. And up they go.
Woo! Straight up. And then he's going to continue to pull rear on the stick there to get inverted. And then he'll roll back out of that and start into a dive right here. There you go.
Wow. Yep. That's pretty awesome. You know what I wonder? I wonder if they plan out okay, so I'm a solo fighter pilot. I'm just going to go up here and the first maneuver is going to be this at this
absolutely.
altitude. Or do they just be like, you know what, I'm just going to have some fun? Oh. Yeah.
And you can hear the afterburner. Did you hear that?
Oh yeah. Although I think
it's off now.
No, yeah, I was going to say as he came down, I think he pulled throttle back and was cruising over that way.
And
wow. Yep, that's pretty neat. Okay.
Oh, now you hear it for sure.
Yeah. So, people listening are like, all right, are you going to talk
about snow or what?
related?
Yeah, we are actually.
Yeah. You know what we're going to do? We're going to talk about slip and fall protocol.
Oh, we are?
Because that's next on the list.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah, it's next on the list because we're not going to skip forward 3 because we had other good stuff going on and Ken got confused. Nope. We're talking about slip and fall protocol.
Yeah,
so,
and this is going to be one that is.
It's focus, dude. Focus.
You know how hard it is. You know how hard it's going to be to do these podcast episodes.
He's not moving. He just stood up on the hunches and didn't move. And then when it started to fall, gave it some juice and pulled out. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just saying with all this pressure in my
2 minutes and 53 seconds, man.
It's going to be a little tough to do a podcast episode.
Shorts.
I got some video though. I'll throw that on the YouTube version of this.
That's awesome. Oh, hey everybody, Nicole's still with us.
Oh yeah, hi.
You know what? I was impressed. You put the computer down and weren't working there for a minute.
I was videoing, man.
For just a moment.
Woo! And you're able to get out of the truck. That's good.
I finally could.
Yeah, good thing we weren't on fire.
No longer trapped.
Child locks beat me.
Yeah. So yeah, man. So all right, slip and fall protocols. You know what? Okay, number 1 on slip and falls, it's going to happen to you.
It's going to happen to you. And so, again, I'm going to keep saying this over and over and over again, but we've talked to so many snow contractors over the past several months. And the percentage of those who say, "Oh, I've never had any problem with that. I'm not worried about that,"
is high.
It's pretty high.
You know what? It is. I'm going to say it's probably 60% of the people we talk to.
Yep.
Say, yeah, never had that be a problem. I'm not worried about it. Not something I'm concerned about.
Yep.
And then you've got. No, I shouldn't say that. It's probably 40% say they don't care. They're not worried about it. I think you've got another 40% that have said, yeah, I've had a slip and fall. What a nightmare. Absolutely can't, don't want to deal with that. Got to figure out how to do this better. And then you've got 20% that say, oh, you know what? I don't know much about it, but I think I probably should.
Yeah.
And so, at the end of the day, when you realize that you're going to have a slip and fall, it's going to happen. There's no way around it. At some point, you're going to be faced with one. And so you have to be ready. And here's the thing. What we kind of touched on this a little bit in one of the prior episodes here recently, but it's not it. If somebody slips and falls, today, you may not know about it for a really long time,
right?
Right.
Yep. And honestly, this is to emphasize this again. This is the single biggest risk you will incur in the snow removal business. Period.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And so I think that's that's something where, when you get into the time that can elapse from when the slip and fall occurs to when you actually know about it, you're talking, it could be anywhere from, days, weeks, months, or years later. Missouri is actually one of the, I think Youngkin's back.
Yep.
Yeah. Here comes one of the other performers. Anyway, I think that I don't think I know. Missouri is a 5-year statute of limitations on how long an individual has to file suit for, and so that's something where you may get a letter, 4 years and 364 days after something happened, and then you have to still have all your records, you have to have all of your information, you have everything, you have to have that all ready to go so that it is accessible and you can defend yourself.
Yep.
And that's not something that people think about or even realize. And so, something that so Jason's laid out some pretty good points here on this one, actually. And so when this episode we're going to talk a bit about what do you do when you get one of these things, and there's a couple different things that you can do. One of them is nothing. Turn it over to your insurance company and say, that's what I got insurance for, and I'll let them handle it.
Yeah.
Right.
Bad plan.
But even when you do that, the insurance company, you're going to have to provide information. You're going to have to give people, documents, and you have to pull records. There's a lot of things that you are going to have to do, and so it's important that you assign one person or a very, very, very small group to manage each case.
Yes.
That is crucial. We do see it a lot of times where the person being deposed isn't the person that gathered the information, and so you may say, okay, well, so and so does my admin work, so and so does my billing, so and so does accounting, so and so does dispatch, and so you find yourself kind of given these things to people to do that may or may not be the best people for the job. And even if they are the best person for that aspect of the investigation, you really, really, really need to make sure that there's one person that's at the helm and coordinating all of those efforts.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's we say a very small group. By that we mean probably not more than 3 or 4 people. That are, depending on the size of your operation, it could be just one person.
Well, and one of the questions that you're going to be asked when there's when the depositions are happening is there. So let's say you were that person and you're the one doing the investigation and you're the one that's kind of spearheading everything. The attorney that's deposing you is going to ask you, have you talked to anybody about this case? They generally don't want to know about the discussions you've had with your attorney because that's generally protected.
Uh-huh.
However, conversations that you've had with other people in the office are not protected, and they're going to say, well, what did you say? What did the person you were talking to say? Because they want to get a handle for, how have you handled this? Who have you talked to? What are your thoughts? All that kind of jazz. So you're right back there? Yep. And so anyway, so that's something where you're going to want to be, kind of cognizant of that. So makes sense?
Yeah,
you good?
Absolutely.
Sounds good. Yeah.
You all right over there?
Yeah. Keep going, man.
Yeah. All right.
You're doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so within, whether that's you, one person, your company, or if it's a few people, whatever, the very first thing you have to do is just start documenting the hell out of everything.
Yeah, so you need to identify every last shred of documentation, evidence or photos, emails, texts, anything that you have. You want to gather it right away, and don't delete it. Don't throw it away. If you have it, you need to keep it, and you need to understand it, and you need to know what it is. And here goes the what was that? The P-8? The P-8 Poseidon, which is a great big naval aircraft.
Yeah, it's a submarine hunter.
And what's bizarre is that that thing is on the list as an air show demonstrator. Now that's every bit as big as a 737. That may be bigger. I don't even really know.
No, I think they're about the size of right at maybe at the 737.
Yeah, so that'd be pretty neat. Imagine, you're climbing onto Southwest and you're, making your way down to vacation, and the pilot used to fly one of these things, and he just decides, you know what I think we're going to do? Hang on a second.
We're going to steep turn this.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Anyway, so So document things. Now, some things to keep in mind when you are working on gathering your documentation. You want to be aware of and look for things that are good for you, and be aware of and look for things that are bad for you. Things that are bad for you, you cannot get rid of them. You cannot trash them. You can't throw them away. You may find yourself, under, you may find yourself as a felon if you paid somebody off. But, if you go destructing your property and, smashing up blueberries and blackberries and stuff, that's fine.
It's probably okay.
It's probably okay.
Depending on what your last name is.
Well, and just exactly how powerful you are.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So let's assuming for a second.
Anybody listening to this podcast, do not do that.
Do not destroy your records. Don't do that. That's a bad idea. Keep them and make sure your attorney knows that there are things out there that are bad for you.
Yeah.
If they know about that early, that is much better than if it shows up later in the game. So as you are gathering your photos and as you're gathering your information, try the best you can to understand it. Now, there may be things in a slip and fall that you look at and you think, well, this is good for me. Understand that there are specialists in every aspect of services and provided services, right? So think of the medical field, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got your general practitioners, right? But then they're gonna refer you out to specialists, right?
Yep.
So you've got your ear, nose, and throat, you've got your feet doctors, you've got whatever, right? So there are also specialists when it comes to slip and falls. That's actually one of the things that we specialize in is identifying what is good and what's bad. I spend a lot of time going through photographs that are associated with slip and fall claims that. They pop up and the contractor's like, this is great. Look, I've got finished pictures all right here. And I go, no. This is bad.
Yeah.
Right. Or similarly, they go, man, this is a really bad picture. And I go, oh no, this is actually really good for you.
Yeah.
Because it's some of the little things that we're looking for in there that that can be really, really helpful. So that's something where you can give us a buzz. Chances are your insurance carrier might have already worked with us in the past on another case. You may ask them, something like that. We may be able to help you with that. If not, see if you can find somebody that can. Your attorney will probably know somebody that can be of assistance and help with that kind of stuff. Shoot, your attorney might be a specialist that specializes in slip and falls. In which case, great. Do the best you can to heed their advice and listen to what they have to say, because you're gonna stand to learn a lot from that, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yep,
exactly.
And actually, on that note, another thing that you actually have in the notes here is to make sure to notify your insurance carrier as soon as possible.
Yeah. That does not mean file a claim.
Well, it's going to turn into a claim.
Yes, but I'm not saying file a claim as soon as possible.
Right.
So what I'm saying is notify your carrier, hey, something happened.
Yeah.
Be on the lookout.
Yeah, and so what you want to do is you want to put them on notice. You want to make them aware that there is this thing that's floating around out there that may or may not become an issue. Because if you don't put them on notice, then it's entirely likely that in your policy there are exclusions, and if you don't give them proper notice, then you do not have coverage.
Right.
So when you the very second that you hear of a slip and fall claim, you need to make sure that they know about it.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that's very for sure.
And so one of the notes I have in here too is photos of the site or the area, and then in parentheses I said use caution. The reason for that is you definitely want to get your own photos of the area, but just be careful about the conditions on the ground when you take your photos.
Yeah.
Because again, it's something that we harp on. We highly recommend that you don't take photographs of unfinished work. So we certainly wouldn't want you going out and documenting anything photographically of something that could potentially still have
Well, yeah, and you don't want to have pictures of puddles on the ground or in the there's a downspout that discharges right into the area where the person fell or things like that, because and something else to consider too is that the if you were to Google snow and ice management best industry standards, you're going to see that there's somewhere between 23 and 30 million different responses that you're going to get to that. So it's important to understand that the industry has a bajillion, well, not a bajillion, let's call it 30 million industry standards that are out there, and I would be willing to bet that nearly all of them say that the responsible snow and ice management vendors should perform a preseason inspection, whereby they identify conditions on site, or structural conditions, or engineering things, or building structures, or things that are going to cause issues. That's in those best practices and in those industry standards. So if you're not doing that, that's something to be aware of. You're going to be told later that you should have. And so when you do go to take those photos, to kind of bring this around, I was talking about, if you don't have that information and all of a sudden you take a picture of it, the question is going to be, well, why didn't you do this before?
Right.
Yeah.
Which is, again, why I'm, just stressing using caution with any photographic evidence that you might want to obtain.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. Yep, got to be careful with that. So, I don't doubt that at all. Weather reporting is something else too, that you're going to need to have weather reports, and this is something that a lot of people don't do. When you're in season and when it's snowing, most folks and most companies don't actually compile or track any type of forecast data. Generally, they're going to rely on the historical weather records to look and see what happened. Well, here's the issue with that. If you want to see what happened, you can get that from historical weather records. However, what happened isn't always what was forecasted. And so, in our line of work, we have to do the best we can with the information that we have available to us at the time.
Yeah.
So when you're in storm, what you really need to do is you need to make sure to be documenting what the forecasts are. So again, whether this is when you email your customers or whatever, however you are communicating with your customers, when you do that, grab the forecasts, grab that information, and get that in an email. And write it down and say, well, as of Tuesday at 4 p.m., Bob Smith, local meteorologist, or weather.com, or Telvent, or whoever it is that you're using for weather services, right? Yeah. Which, on that note, if you're in the St. Louis area, TMS, Weather and Forecasting, DIM. Yeah. T-Wizzle. I'm going to call him T-Wizzle because it's fun.
Yeah.
That dude is really, really, really good.
Yes.
But anyways, if you're able to say, this is the forecast, and because of the forecast, this is what we're doing. Okay, well, now you have some record. And 3 years later, when you get a lawsuit, and what actually happened was dramatically different than what was forecasted, which meant that you weren't able, you had to react instead of acting proactively. Yeah. And an attorney says, well, why didn't you do this? If you can look at your forecast and say, well, this is why I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And a very recent, really good example of that is, I believe it was our last event this past winter. Forecast was that we're going to get some snowfall, maybe some light accumulations on vegetation or on elevated surfaces, maybe slushy stuff on pavements, but, not really anything to be too worried about. And that turned into 6 inches.
Sure did. That's what she said.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. It is.
Nicole's just back there nodding her head like, yeah, I knew that was coming.
Yeah. I mean, everybody listening to this podcast right now knew that was coming. And so that is a situation where,
sounds loud.
Where you have a forecast for one thing, and I'll be honest with you, there were probably some contractors out there who maybe have a little bit of a lower service property. Maybe it's kind of a will call status, more of a low grade kind of contract. And they looked at that forecast and said, well, I'm not going to work.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing for me to do today.
Well, Thomas was one of the guys on that storm with TMS Weather. It was saying, hey, the models were all saying not much, but be prepared for 4 to 6 inches. That very well could happen.
Yeah.
And man, he was right.
And honestly, him and Dave Murray were the only ones.
Yeah, and where I was going with that was that we were telling our crews and the subcontractors that work with us, hey guys, y'all need to have your plows hanging just in case.
Yep.
And there were definitely some that did not have plows hanging, and what happened was they missed out on the money on the plowing.
Yeah.
Because it happened so fast. The event itself, it went from it's going to be a dusting to bam 6 inches, and in that time there wasn't time to stage equipment, there wasn't time to move things around. So the guys that had their plows hanging wound up going all over the town, pushing the snow everywhere just to get it cleared up. And then the ones that didn't have the plow hanging wound up missing out on it.
Yep.
So, anyways,
but that's an example, I guess, of when the forecast when what actually happens doesn't match what the forecast said was going to happen, and you have to be able to document both sides of that.
Yeah.
Not just the forecasting, but actual weather conditions.
Well, the documentation during storm of what's currently happening, we've actually kind of gone away from that a little bit because we can get that.
After the event.
Yeah, because you can get historical information, and there are meteorological experts that will actually do reports on exactly what they found and where and why. C-130's pulling up.
Yeah.
Here it comes. I bet this would be cool. All right, gang. For those that can't see this and probably don't care, we're about to nerd out for a minute because it looks like a C. Now, I don't know. I think they were going to have a Spectre gunship here too, but I don't know if that's it, and I won't know until I see the other side. Because I'm pretty sure
it'd be on
it's
this
all
side.
starboard side, isn't it?
It's all port side.
Is it port side?
Yeah.
And there's something hanging out there. What the hell is it? No, never mind. Nope. There it goes, C-130. Man, that's a cool plane.
Or maybe it is all on the starboard side.
I thought
you know what?
maybe,
it's on one side or the other.
You know what? You're right. It's on either the port or starboard side.
That's right.
We're going to go with that. So, all right. So something else. Just what I was finishing up with the weather is that the historical weather, you can always get that later.
Yeah.
The forecast data oftentimes gets lost.
Yeah.
So you want to document that in storm. Something else you got here on the show prep notes is listing who all's involved or even there. If you happen to hear about a slip and fall right when it happens,
right,
man, if you can get names and numbers of people that were there, so you can get witness statements, you have the ability to put together a file that says these are the peeps that were involved, these are the people that were that were there. That's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing it right. I mean, if you're doing everything the way you should be doing it, people will come to your defense. Nobody likes the dirtbags that are out there just trying to get free money out of a lawsuit. Nobody.
Right.
Nobody. So, but at the same time, it's very hard. Jurors want to give those people the benefit of the doubt because they feel sorry for them because they got hurt. But if you've got witnesses that can say, no, it was icy everywhere. The conditions were horrible. There were people on site. They were doing everything that they could, and this idiot just fell down. Okay, well, now that's a whole other ball of wax.
Right.
Yep. So, do that. Work orders, call dispatch logs. I mean, you're definitely going to need that stuff. If you don't have any indication of what was being done or when it was happening, that's a problem. Now, something that you definitely don't necessarily, okay. Here's where this gets a little tricky. Sometimes more information is not good, right?
Agreed.
So, so if you're in a scenario where you have, what is she doing? Nicole just jumped out of the truck and ran around the front and is taking.
Blue Angels are firing up.
Spooling up Blue Angels. You're right. Yep. Anyway, so when you have, let's say, GPS records, right? We've talked about that over and over and over again.
Yeah,
that's fine. It's not necessarily great, but it's fine. But you don't have to have GPS to prove service. There are definitely other ways that you can prove that service was done without the use of GPS. Not necessarily something we need to get into the weeds on here. That's kind of one of our little special sauce things for SG Advantage, which
shameless plug.
SG Advantage, fantastic. That's what we're here for. Anyway. But you need to have logs of some kind to know what's there, and you got to have copies of the contract. I mean, all of that has to happen no matter what. So, making sure you've got all that in place and ready to go is super important. And then making sure that that all of those documents add up and they make sense. That's a big deal. If you only have service logs that say that you perform services on the 13th, but then the weather forecasts say that it snowed on the 10th, well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? C-130 coming in on the right.
Yep.
Right. Yep. That's pretty cool. But anyways, so those are the kind of things where, that's all stuff that we would super suggest y'all have in the event of slip and fall.
Yeah.
And most importantly, give us a call. I mean, if you're dealing with a slip and fall and you don't really know what's going on or how to handle it, that's what we're here for, man. Get to us at, you want to give them the number since you got it over there?
Sure. Yeah, give us a call. Or shoot us a text. Either way, 314-260-4352. Or shoot us an email at podcast@swinnergroup.com. Somebody will eventually read that, and we'll get back to you.
Yeah, there you go. And you know what we're going to do right now?
Bye.
We're going to call it, man. Yep. So, the slip and falls or something. I mean, we could honestly talk about that for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. But
yeah,
we're going to let the people do their thing, and we're gonna move on. So, like Jason said, really, really glad you're listening to us. My name's Ken Bogeman. That's Jason Dungan. The smoke show redhead in the back seat is my lovely bride, Nicole Bogeman. And, man.
Hi.
Yeah. Anyway, glad you guys could stop by. What? Shut up, dude. It's fine. Anyways, hope you all have a great day, man. We'll talk to you later. See ya.